Dear friends, we got the new delivery, which in Spanish receive the name of Pinchos, so that's kind of needles. But of course we're talking about this acupressure units, and we will use this as another tool, get the improved proprioceptive connection from the superficial 2D surface, going towards the 3D thickness and depth activation. Again, you all know
De nuevo sabrán
that the kids experience two classes of challenges in this particular level. One would be on a pure sensory level,
uno sería una cuestión sensorial puramente,
either being too sensitive or
que sean
too not sensitive. You know, too sensitive when it's itchy, ticklish, and all these other things, and not sensitive when they just don't react. But on the physical level, of course, you know that we see this as excess sleepiness. So we have good success addressing those using the superficial techniques with the ABR tools. We see impressive contributions to that skin creasing and grip by the ABR fascia gel, but then
pero luego
we want more.
queremos más.
So here is the logic. So we have two types of tools. One would be the set of gloves. So the gloves for the right hand
Los guantes para la mano derecha
and for the left hand. So, and the main logic of the glove is the scenario
es un escenario
when you will do
en
the
el que
grip,
uno
and then after the grip do the micro oscillation.
sabe,
Again, to begin with,
para comenzar,
we're going to do it via the fabric, not on the naked skin, because that is enough for us to get the proprioceptive response, right? So, because the moment there is a pain factor, the proprioception closes. So that's a first logic with this dynamic performance. Second logic,
la segunda lógica,
within the gloves, and also, you know, kind of hands-on usage of these smaller pads, is the special role of the feet pads and the hand pads as super sensitive and super important entries. So here, again, you know, the logic is gently come into contact and let him experience that spread. So that's kind of typically you can straight away look into the naked skin, but of course if your child is kind of moving a lot and so on, then you know we'll need some extra buffer there. The same thing goes with the feet, right? And the third thing would be the usage of those smaller pads. We got them into round and square formats. So where again,
y de nuevo,
the logic is super simple. When you're doing, say, something working at the top, when the child is asleep, plum, you put it here, and
y
just use a couple of pads to put on top. You know, it's a good balance. With the pads, it will stay, it will not slide. But at the same
pero al
time,
mismo tiempo,
you know, it's far from a more ambitious project. Because the most ambitious project would be to do the rep with this. That would be the most ambitious project, which I recommend to yourself. But for the child, you start like this. Right? So you see, and then, for example, the round one goes well on the tummy, you know, and or you can, you know, we can move it and reorient it right into the areas. And this squarish one could be this kind of chest application. Or of course, when he's lying on his tummy, we're doing it at his back, right? You know, of course, you can do a little bit of this micro oscillations, or put your hand on top, you know, once you get used to it as additional stimulus, you're very welcome. But the first logic is that super simple. So you're doing something else, get a little bit of extra that stimulus to the skin depth development. As easy as it gets. And you know, also as safe. Of course, if the pants are that thick, nah, it would be probably too much, right? But the regular t-shirt, you know, the thick one, is absolutely fine. You can test yourself that through it. Once the child gets used to it, get thinner one, then we're looking for that more ambitious project when we put it like this, right? You see, the risk of scratching is only when they're moving, right? You know, when he's asleep and when you just have those foams on top, he moves,
Si él se mueve,
the whole thing is just going to fall off from him. So that's why it's safe, provides this background thing. So the question was about the area, where do we do it? So typical areas that we're looking in first place are the comfortable, rich areas of the torso. The abdomen, upper,
ya sea
middle,
superior, medio,
lower,
inferior.
the thorax, where we do more squarish. So again, could be the center, could be slightly shifted to the left or to the right. Everything else is very welcome. Additional stimulus to the thighs and so on. You know, like if you put the hand
Ahí
here,
puedes dejar puesta la mano.
this is all getting creative, right? So because typically I would think that for those purposes, we do the glove. If he sits with you, so you just put your hand, you do this with the glove. Glove is when you do something, and these ones when you kind of leave them on. That's the introduction of those acupressure pinchos. And you know, I must say that as a person who's been using the pinchos for the last couple of years myself, I would say that that's really a very significant contribution, because that gives you the improved distribution. Everything that gives you improved distribution, as opposed to concentration in the muscular effort, is always good.
Siempre está bien.
And this is as easy as it gets.
Y esto no puede ser más fácil.
Pinchos gloves, pinchos pens. And then, you know, our good old pens as just
nuestras
the
alfombritas
tool
clásicas
of
de siempre como
bringing
herramientas
the
que ofrece
connection.
la conexión.
Claro?
Claro.
Very good.